Welcome back to Grad Student Book Reviews, the series where I tell you about a book I read while I was working in the lab, and I rate it on a scale from 1 to 5 microscopes. And today is actually a 1-year anniversary of me doing these reviews in the first place. Thank you so much for tagging along, and let's get into this week's book. So the book I read was Dreams of Delphine by Rich Chaparro. It's my first book of this author. I'd never really come across him before. If you can believe it, I found the book in the trash and I just like, oh, who would throw a book away? I picked it up and I decided to read it, and I kind of get why it was in the trash. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying that I think the narration of the book was a little bit too self-indulgent. Essentially, it's this man who loses his sister tragically, and we see that happen. And then now, as he is an adult, he's trying to navigate his new life with his new wife and upcoming baby, and trying to grapple with the idea of his dead sister and how that baggage is weighing on him as he tries to become a father. And to me, while I think that the objective of the book and the overall message and story that Rich was trying to convey was very interesting in the way he decided to do it, I do think that at times it was a little bit, maybe for my taste, too focused on the protagonist's vision of things. And I don't know if I have any better way of saying this, but essentially it just read as a man trying to reason his way through the world as a man. And while I think that obviously it's important to read books from different perspectives, I think for the themes that he was trying to convey, it was really hard for me to sympathize with the character, because in a lot of ways I feel like he was ignoring the fact that this is not something that only happens to men, right? And the way that he navigated things and made it seem like this character was very self-centered. Everything that was happening to him, and he was like the main victim in the story, even though he literally works with a community that is falling in shambles, but he's like, I am responsible now, this is all my fault, etc. I don't know, I feel like I'm being very harsh on this book. In general, I think it was a fine read. I would perhaps give it a 3 out of 5 microscopes. It wasn't really built for me, and that's fine, not every book has to be. But I do think that if you're gonna go into this book, that is something you should know of. The main character will always be focused on his journey and everything that's happening, even though you'll be left a little bit more curious about what's happening with his wife, what's happening around the world, because he kind of touches on things but then doesn't elaborate on them, so you're just kind of left with